The next step is better for me to describe this through a story. Now, from all the successful people, and I got into my my 30s and never really understood modelling. Never really understood it. No one ever taught it to me. And since learning it, I have made a point to go and interview and get around some of the most successful people in relationships, in health, in business, in money, just to make sure that my life's in balance and I surround myself with people that know more about those areas than I do. And what it's allowed me to do is understand that there are some patterns. There are some patterns that people have that basically guarantee their success. Would you like to know what all the world's most successful people share in terms of just this one trait? Would that be useful, yes or no? Yes. If you only had enough room in your mind to remember one thing from this entire weekend, I would say forget everything else and just remember this one thing. This next bit of content, it's not hypnosis, but it will serve you so much better than hypnosis ever would. And yes, it is a crucial component to the hypnosis, but it's also a crucial component to be successful in any area of life, whether it be relationships, health, business, whatever it might be. Would you like to learn what it is, yes or no?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so there was a young boy, about 16, just received his license, and his dad was reasonably successful with business and owned a Porsche. It was his father's pride and joy Porsche. It was always polished up in the garage, undercover, only take it out when it was a bright sunny day. And it was a nice day, and so he thought, this 16-year-old boy thought, I'll ask Dad if I can take the Porsche for a drive. Now they got my license. Went to his dad, he's like, Dad, I've got my license, it's a nice day, can I take the Porsche just for a quick drive? Like, honestly, I'll be really careful. Can I please just take it for a quick drive? And his father turned to his son and said, Son, you know what? I will let you take the Porsche for a drive, but on one condition. Yeah, Dad, what's that? That you're responsible. Yeah, Dad, I get it. I'll be responsible. So he got the keys, gets in the car, he's driving down the street. He's got the nice feel of the leather steering wheel, the leather seats. He's got the music cranked up. He's got the air conditioner cranked up as well, driving around, window down so everyone can see him driving his dad's car. Gets to a set of traffic lights, it goes from green to orange, he slows down, looks in the rear vision mirror and sees a car coming too fast from behind. He knows his car's not going to stop in time. There's no way, he doesn't even think that the guy's paying attention. The light goes to red. This is the first time he's borrowed his dad's car. He puts his foot on the accelerator, through the red light, fortunately, got through the other side safely. It's like, whew. Drive around the back streets. All of a sudden, woo, woo, woo. He gets pulled over. He's like, oh no. Police officer walks up and says, Son, you went through a red light back there. What's going on? And he turned to the officer and said, Officer, it's not my fault. There's a crazy guy from behind. He was driving too fast. You should be booking him. This is the first time that my dad's let me take the car out. There could have been a car accident. I could have got hurt. Someone could have got hurt. You should be booking him. He's going too fast on that road. What was I supposed to do? Police officer, filling out the paperwork, said, Son, you chose to drive down this street. You chose to drive at that speed. You chose to put your foot on the accelerator. You chose to drive through the red light. You chose your traffic infringement. But officer, it's not my fault. It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility. So he went home, and parents tend to have this sixth sense about them. They tend to know when their child's done something wrong. And there was this boy trying to climb the stairs to his bedroom. His dad was in the kitchen and said, Oi, what's going on? Is the car okay? He said, Yeah, Dad, the car's okay, but look, I'm not going to lie to you. I got a ticket. He said, What do you mean you got a ticket? He goes, Oh, this driver from behind, he was going too fast for the road. He was going above the speed limit. I was just going to follow the road rules, but if I did, it would have been a car accident. What was I supposed to do? I had to take care of your car. So I had to go through the red light. It wasn't my fault. Father turned to his son and said, Son, you asked to take the car out for a drive today. You chose to take the car out. You chose to drive down that street. You chose to drive at that speed. You chose to put your foot on the accelerator. You chose to go through the red light. You chose your ticket. It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility. But Dad, it's not my fault. It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. And so his father put his hand out and said, Son, give me the keys. Give me the license. You're not driving for another year. But Dad, it's not my fault. It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility. So away he went, felt like there's injustice done to him because this fast driver from behind. And his father stayed true to his word, didn't let him drive for another year. A year went by, felt like he'd learned his lesson, went to his dad, nice sunny days. Dad, I've learned my lesson. Can I take the car out for a drive? Sure, son, you can take the car out for a drive, but on one condition. Yeah, Dad, what's that? That you're responsible. Yeah, Dad, I get it. I'll be responsible. So he gets the keys, gets in the car, driving down the street, enjoying the feel of the car again. He's got the breeze on his face, got the warmth of the sun on his skin, driving around the streets, driving down a straight road, gets to a set of traffic lights, goes from green to orange. He looks in the rear vision mirror, and I kid you not, he sees another car coming too fast from behind. And he knows he has to do something. Bang! Rear end collision. The next thing, his father, watering the garden outside, sees his prized possession Porsche turn up on a tow truck, all crumpled from the back. His son jumps out of the car, waving a bit of paper. Dad, before you start, have a look at the police report. Even they said it's not my fault. There's a rear end collision. The guy's going too fast. I was just following the road rules. His father, controlling his temper, said, son, you chose to take the car out for a drive today. You chose to drive down that street. You chose to drive at that speed. You chose to put your foot on the brake. You chose your accident. You're responsible. But Dad, it's not my fault. Look at the... It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility. Give me the keys. Give me a license. You're not driving for another year. But Dad, it's not my fault. It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility. So away he went. And his father continually trained him in this lesson of taking personal responsibility, knowing that it was going to serve him well in the future. And his son ended up growing into a young man and was getting married and was going on a road trip to get married. Him and his groomsmen were going on a road trip. They were traveling from California to Vegas, Las Vegas. And it was a number of hours road trip whilst the bridal party, or his, what's the female part of the bridal party? What are they called? Bridal party. Is it bridal party? What was it?
Hen's night.
Not the hen's night. So you have the groom's party. What's the female's called? Okay. All right. The bride and the... Bridesmaids and the bride. Yes, I thought there was a term for it. Okay. So the bridesmaids and the bride flew there. The groomsmen all travelled in a car. He was sitting in the front passenger side. His best man was driving. 2 groomsmen in the back. A few hours in, the 2 groomsmen in the back fall asleep. A few more hours in, him in the passenger seat falls asleep. A few more hours in, the driver falls asleep. And the next thing this guy knows is he's outside the car and he can't feel his legs. And he's quoted as saying the thing that gave him the conviction, the courage, the determination to drag his body up the embankment to flag down someone for help was the sound of his father's voice ringing in his ears, saying, you chose to get married in Vegas. You chose to drive there. You chose to fall asleep. You chose your accident. You chose your injury. It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility. And as a result of this, he became a paraplegic. And he ended up realising that he had a choice. He had to choose what that meant for him. And fortunately, through his father's teachings, he chose to give that meaning that was going to be beneficial for him. He chose to decide that that meant he needed to go and share this message with people, that personal responsibility can change your life. And he ended up becoming a public speaker. And that was his main message, the power of public speaking. Not public speaking, of personal responsibility. He did a study where he studied a lot of other paraplegics. And he studied paraplegics that many people would consider underprivileged, but the fact that they've gone through some sort of injury and they need to relearn how to work through their life. And then he studied a group of individuals that others would consider are privileged, and they were people that had won the lottery. And he studied these two groups over 3 years. And he found that 3 years later, if you'd won the lottery, you typically were worse off in your life. He found that most people who won the lottery 3 years earlier, most of them didn't have the money anymore. Many of them had gone broke and bankrupt and lost the money. He found many of them, what they were doing is they were blaming people. They were blaming people for why they didn't have the money. They're like, it's not my fault I didn't have the money. It was the bad investment advice I received. It's not my fault I had the money anymore. It's my gold-digging relatives that came out of the woodwork that were just asking for handouts. He found many of these people were blaming others and other things for why they didn't have the money. When he studied those that were paraplegics 3 years later, if they were still around, he found many of them had taken on a higher level of personal responsibility. He found many of them were sitting there saying to themselves, you know what, it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility as to what I'm going to do about it now. Some have become public speakers like he had. Some were out there speaking at schools as to why it's not a good idea to dive headfirst into dark water, why you should wear your seatbelt. Others had become Paralympians, where in the past they'd never considered being an Olympian or professional athlete. And he discovered that it was very similar to a universal law. What I'm going to ask you to do is find a blank page in your books, and if you can turn your book sideways so you can do this even larger, I want you to draw C is greater than E. Don't worry, we're not doing algebra. That's all right. Just C is greater than E. Try and draw that as large as you can for me. C is greater than E. What he found was there's this universal law of cause and effect. And he found it was a really good way of illustrating how people are either taking on personal responsibility or they're not. Now, the universal law of cause and effect suggests that there's a causality and there's an effect. So there's something that is the start of the chain of influence that then has a chain of influence that then ends in a result, an outcome, or an effect. What do you think has greater influence over the outcome? Something at the start or something at the end? The start, right? Anything that is further up the chain influences things after it. And so when people are at cause, they are accepting that they have a choice. He found that these paraplegics, most of them were at cause, where they recognised it was their choice. They could choose that this meant their life was over, that this meant that their life was a wreck, that their life was going to be miserable. That was some of their choices. But fortunately, most of them had chosen differently. Most of them had made choices that were going to work better for them. Some people are at effect, and that's where you'll know this because they tend to blame others or things for why their life's not going well. There are people in relationships that say, it's not my fault the relationship's not working out, it's my partner. Who are they saying has the ability to change a relationship? Their partner. They're saying, it's not my fault, it's my partner. My partner needs to change. So I'll sit here and wait for them to change. Could those people be waiting for their partner to change and their partner may not want to change? Could that happen? Could, right? When people are at effect, the reason why it doesn't quite work for them in the long run is because they sit back and they wait for that other thing to change. Well, it's not my fault, it's my partner. So I'll sit back and be miserable until my partner changes. As opposed to recognising that, hang on, I could be at cause and I could choose. Okay, I'm not happy in my relationship because of my partner, but therefore, how am I at cause for that? How am I responsible for the lack of fulfillment in my relationship? How am I responsible for my partner not listening or taking action? Now, let's use something that's a little bit more humorous. Let's say the toilet seat. They don't put the toilet seat up. Down. They don't put the toilet seat down. Now, if you've told your partner 100 times before and they're still not doing it, could you choose to tell them 101 times? Is that possible? Yes or no? Yeah. It is. Could you tell them 200 times? Could 200 be your threshold? Now, we all have thresholds. And it's about at what point do you choose that you've hit your threshold? No, I'm going to tell you 101 more times and then that's it. Right? Or do you just choose to take responsibility? There are certain words you may be using that aren't right. Maybe you're getting your partner in the wrong time of day. Maybe they're not in state. Maybe you start in an agitated tonality. Maybe, this could be any number of things. Like maybe honey, would you please put, maybe your physiology is completely wrong. There's so many different things that could be happening where if you blame something externally, it's not my fault, it's that, and you sit back, then you disempower yourself. People disempower themselves by being at effect. They disempower because they give the power to that other thing. Now, some people think of me as a motivational speaker. I don't like that title. I prefer the title of being an irritational speaker. It is my job to irritate all of you, hopefully not at once, but I want to irritate all of you periodically throughout the next 2.5 days. Because if I stood up here and told you all the things that you all agree with and you've all heard before, you go, oh yeah, that's right. I want to sort of open up your awareness to maybe some new things. And so, like I said, sometimes the truth will piss us off, but it will set us free eventually. And one of the things where people are disempowered by is when they blame like their personality. Oh, that's just who I am. Well, you could change your personality. And I've been there. I used to be one of those people. I used to think there's no way I could be a public speaker. There's no way I could speak in front of 60, 70 people that I've never met before. Never before could I have ever done that. Until I recognised, hang on, I could choose to learn. I could choose to learn how to do that. And that's the first step. Whereas I used to disempower myself. When you are at cause, you have the power to change things. Because if you don't have the power to change things in your life, then who the hell does? You do. Whether you recognise it or not, you have the power to improve your health. No one else can improve your health for you. Like, you have to do the work. No one else can improve well, I guess someone could give you money, but that's not going to improve your money mindset. You'll probably just lose it again. No one else can help you get the wealth and the riches that you want. No one can help you get the relationship you want. You have to do the work as well. And so when you recognise that you have the power to change absolutely anything in your life, then you start to go, okay, well, how do I do it now? Now, some people disempower themselves in a number of different ways. We talked about relationships. They do it with health. Like, it's not my fault I'm overweight, I'm big boned. Anyone heard people say that before? Yeah, some people say that, right? So that they blame their big bones. And I'm sure if we x-rayed them, their bones are probably no more dense than anyone else's on average. But yet people will legitimise as to why they're not going to take action. No, it's because of my big bones. And they don't get their result. I'm sure if they could take a magic pill or a shake that would make their weight drop off, they would. And that's why some people try those sorts of strategies. The long-term strategies, and so many of those strategies are just band-aid solutions. They just mask the problem that's still there. That's why people go on holidays. They go on holidays hoping their problems won't be there when they get back. But they are. They're still there. You can't run away from your problems. Has anyone left a relationship before because you thought the relationship was the problem and then you realised that the problem was you? Anyone had that sort of moment before? Yeah? Maybe it was just me. I don't know. And so, just know that our biggest problem is us, is ourselves, is our limiting beliefs, is the stuff that we talk to ourselves, our stories that we tell ourselves. We're a victim. Victims are over on the effect side. Victims are at effect. They keep telling themselves, oh, yeah, but you don't understand my life, Shane. Like, this happened to me when I was 6. Yeah, stuff happens to people when they're 6. Really bad stuff happens to people when they're 6. And some people go on and live a prosperous life. Yeah, there was like, one woman who she was 13, low socioeconomic environment, a lot of crime, a lot of poverty. She was molested, sexually abused by someone close to her, fell pregnant that person. That's a horrific start for a 13-year-old girl. You could say, she's within her right to be, sad and, upset and distraught by that. But yet, here was this woman who grew up and became one of the most influential women of our time, Oprah Winfrey. All because she chose to not disempower herself as a result of that happening. She's not going to be the victim for her entire life. Sure, it happened to her. She doesn't deny that it didn't happen. It's not like she's just trying to hide it under the carpet. She recognises it happens, but she's empowered by it. She's like, you know what, this happens. I need to choose what to do about this. I need to speak up about it and let people know this stuff happens. And so things don't happen to you, things happen for you. You can take your worst day and you can make it your best day if you just look for that hidden gift. Imagine you go to the movies, you see this Hollywood blockbuster and the main character has a perfect life at the start of the movie. And it gets to the middle of the movie and they still have a perfect life. And it gets to the end of the movie and they have a perfect life. Would that be an interesting movie, yes or no? It'd be a crap movie, right? The worst day of your life could be the most compelling chapter of your memoirs. And so just know that things have happened to all of us. I haven't met a single person that's had a perfect childhood. Anyone have a perfect childhood here? So I still haven't met anyone. Things happen to us. Some people get caught up in being a victim, disempowering themselves, keep telling that story, keep playing that song, and that's why they feel that way. Other people recognise, you know what, hang on, maybe there's something different that I can choose. Maybe there are some skills I can learn. Maybe there's a different way for me to be able to feel. And they become a victor rather than the victim. And the great thing about being at cause is that just by knowing that you're at effect puts you at cause. And what I mean by that is if you hear yourself saying, that makes me angry, or that makes me sad, or that makes me frustrated. Nothing makes you anything. Is it not true that someone can say some words that on paper might be hurtful? Like they might say, you're such a bastard, or you're such a bitch. And you can go, yeah, I know. You can take significance from it, or you can be hurt by it. But could you not do both? Yes or no? You can, right? What's the difference between the two? Your choice. It's just your choice. Now, it might be a split moment choice, or it may not be a choice because you don't recognise you have a choice, or that you've already chosen. If anyone ever says that to you, that means you are hurt by it. But no one makes you feel anything. No one is in control of your emotions. You are. And all you need to do if you don't feel you're in control of your emotions is just choose to learn how to gain more control over your emotions. It's the people that are, I guess, what you consider emotionally unintelligent that don't have control over their emotions and feel like their emotions are in control of them. And the reason why you either get results in your life or you don't get results is whether you are in a resourceful state or in an unresourceful state. If you're in an unresourceful state, whether it be boredom, depression, frustration, procrastination, whatever it might be, well, you're not going to be moving forward in life. But if you're in a resourceful state, whatever that might be for you, joy, happiness, excitement, whatever, it all comes down to a choice. I've met some really dumb rich people. Anyone met some dumb rich people before? Yep. So you don't even need to be like really smart to get great results. I won't keep going, but it's all about a choice. It really is all about a choice. If you choose that you can't be healthy, you won't be. If you choose that you can't improve your relationship, you won't. If you choose that you can't be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, a billionaire, you won't even start that journey. If you choose that anything that you can't do, then you won't get that result. And that's really the difference between cause and effect. Even in terms of, this might ruffle a few feathers for people, but things like depression. Some people are like, oh, it's not my fault I had depression, it's my chemical imbalance. Is that cause or effect? It's an effect. It's an effect of a chemical imbalance. So people are hypnotised, and there's a whole industry behind it as well that says, oh, you've got a chemical imbalance? Here, take this pill. And they take that pill. And who here's met some people that have depression and they take that pill and it makes them feel worse? Anyone met people like that? Yep. For a lot of people, it doesn't make them feel much better. It makes them feel like a bit of a robot. And so again, it's that bit more of that Band-Aid solution. Now, are drugs a suitable strategy for some people? Absolutely. I'm not anti-drugs, but I see a lot of people that are taking drugs and have worked with many people that have taken drugs that aren't working for them, and then they've moved to cause and they find their own solution. Yep. As a hypnotherapist, you have no power. I have no power. I've helped people overcome amazing things, but I never did it. They don't walk away going, oh, Shane's like a healer. They don't do that. They're the healer. They know that they have the power within them, and they're so much more empowered by that because they don't have to keep coming back to me. They're like, wow, I healed myself of depression. I healed myself. I overcame my own dyslexia. I've stopped my own anxiety. They have the power, not me. And therefore, they're going to carry that within their life rather than needing to keep coming back to me. And that's the difference between being cause and effect. I don't want people to be at effect of me. Like, so, I got healed because of Shane. No, you didn't. You got healed because of you. And you also don't want to work with someone that's at effect. So you don't want to work with someone that's, what's your name? It's Gabe. You know, if Gabe came to me and said, oh, Shane, can you fix me? I'd say, no. I can't fix you. But Gabe, I can show you how you can fix yourself. And so you always want to make sure your client is at cause, not at effect. You never want your client to feel like that you are responsible for the outcome, because you're not really. The client is. The client is more responsible than you are. And you need to make sure that the responsibility is in their court and that they accept that. If you think about something that's not working for you in your life, then just ask yourself, how am I responsible for that? How am I responsible? What choices could I make differently? Now, stuff happens to us, and it's never saying that it's your fault. Please understand, this is not saying you need to take fault for it. It's never saying that, because stuff happens to us that is outside our control. But what is completely in our control is what are we going to do about it from now on? And that's what being at cause is all about. It's just knowing that you have a choice, you have the power to change things, you can be the victor, and really what it does is it allows you to take action. And that's how you get the results that you want to get in your life, in any area of your life. Is this making sense so far? Yes or no? Yes. Fantastic. Yes. Was this useful? Yes or no? Yes. So let me ask you this. Who here, over the next 2.5 days, is willing to play full out, have plenty of fun, but more importantly, who's willing to be at cause for all the results in their life, but maybe all the lack of results as well? All those in favour, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Fantastic. Anyone opposed? You can leave. No, you can stay. Just know, look, sometimes people fall in and out of cause and effect. It's not about being perfect. You don't have to always be at cause. Because, we have moments where we're unresourceful. It's just trying to spend more time being at cause than being at effect. And it's about maybe having some people around you to pull you up on those times when you're out of perspective. When you think you're being at cause by blaming everyone else. No, I'm being at cause because I'm choosing to be pissed off with you. That is ultimately being at cause, because you can choose to be depressed. That's fine. You can choose to be sad. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel negative emotions. Negative emotions make the positive emotions feel even better. It's not saying you just end up becoming a robot. You still feel the emotions, but you can choose, like if someone passes away, you can choose to be sad and grieve for a period of time. And you can choose to stop and move on with the rest of your life. Maybe to live your life, for them. And so there's different choices we can make. It's not saying that you lose access to the negative emotions, but ideally you want to spend more time at cause than at effect. So make that final commitment if you're interested in being at cause. Now, I'd say if you try this for 2.5 days, you'll probably end up doing it for the rest of your life. I highly recommend it, because that's really how the most successful people get results, is they don't sit back and wait for that pot of gold or that health or their lack of health to drop off their body. They make it happen. So it takes action, it takes effort. So if you're interested in being at cause, make that final, investment by circling the C and crossing out the E, which basically means you're going to be at cause and not be at effect.